Comes to Temba running, puffing, and he says, "My friend, I'm pretty sure Zod or your wife is cheating on you." And Temba replies, "I'm not going to celebrate until I'm sure of it." Hello, fam. Good evening to you. Good day. Motivation Monday is back on Talk with Friends Live, in the room with our resident personal development coach, Dr. Thando Sibanda, and continuing on our journey of overcoming negative self-talk. I'm so glad, by the way, that we are about to move away from the negative self-talk to positive self-talk this week, but we will recap a bit before we go to that. Dr. Thando Sibanda, good evening.
Good evening, Brother Rams. How are you doing, man?
Dark and lovely. How are you?
I'm fine, man. I'm fine. Yeah. I'm very excited about tonight.
The family is here with us. We are getting to be in their diaries. It's so nice that these guys diarize us now. And it's regular, it feels good. And they come, look at them. They look so beautiful, all of them. So wonderful. Including those that are faceless at the moment and nameless. You all look beautiful. Thank you very much for joining us. So we're going to recap a bit before we continue with our topic. And I thought, Dr. T, in recapping, maybe we don't go too far. Okay. We just go back to, again, understanding self-talk and what it is, and then go directly to the 5 issues we dealt with last week, the 5 themes of negative self-talk.
Okay, no, absolutely. Thank you very much, Rams. I think it's important for us to just pick up on this foundation, on the fact that, self-talk really speaks to the narrative that you hold with yourself, and a lot of times about yourself. We actually call it your inner voice. And a lot of us engage in it. In fact, everybody engages in it. What differs is simply the level of awareness, in terms of people being aware that actually this is self-talk. This is me talking to myself. In fact, science tells us that, we talk to others at a rate of between 140 to 160 words per minute, but we think 6 to 7 times faster. So we are processing between 600 to 700 thoughts. And the interesting thing is that a lot of times we interact very audibly with ourselves, and self-talk is generally thought of to be a mix of both conscious and unconscious beliefs and biases that we hold about ourselves and about the world generally, And so very important to understand that self-talk can be both negative or it can be positive, And I think we did look at some of the negative self-talks, where we contextualize ourselves as the object of negative thinking, I know we've said to ourselves, hey, man, I'm stupid. I'm dumb, this and that. And so we speak to ourselves and sabotage ourselves in the sense where we don't think we are good enough and we can't do anything right. And we talk ourselves out of doing things that we should do, And I gave an example of when you're at work, and you've got the answer to the challenge, but then you tell yourself, you know what, if I speak, they're going to laugh at me. Who am I anyway? I'm a very shy person. No, you can't do that. That's way too difficult. You'll probably fail. What will the people say? All of those are actually conversations that we have with ourselves that take away from a positive self-concept. And that is why it is actually called self-sabotage, because remember, to sabotage means to deliberately destroy, to damage, to obstruct, and so we do that to ourselves. We don't quite take care of ourselves a lot of times, Rams.
My biggest takeout last week, Dr. T, is when you said we self-sabotage because we choose to. Now, I wouldn't think that that's what we do, but when you told me and you then mentioned the 5 things, I actually realized we actually choose to self-sabotage.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Everything that we do from the inside out is a choice. You know, I know a lot of times when somebody steps on your cons and then you tell them off, or maybe you slap them or whatever, then you say, no, you made me do that. No, 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 no. You are the one that spoke to yourself and chose. You made a choice, whether it was a predetermined choice or it was a subconscious choice. It always remains that whatever we do, we need to take responsibility for, because whatever we choose to do, or rather whatever we do, always comes out of the place of a choice we actually choose to. It is absolutely a decision. Remember that word decide. I've explained that it's the word D for decision, and side meaning to kill off. So we make certain decisions on everything that we're encountering. That's why we have pesticide, killing of pests, suicide, killing of self, you know, a genocide, killing of many people, you know, homicide, you know, killing of another human being. And so when we decide, we kill off all other options that are available. And so that is why we have to get to a point where we actually take responsibility for the negative self-talk that happens within us, because we choose to actually sabotage ourselves.
So without committing a lot of time aside, not killing of time, let's quickly go through the 5 themes, Dr. T, without explaining them much, so that we can then today go to positive self-talk.
Right. I think in terms of picking it up, one of the very common themes of actually self-sabotage is what is called procrastination. You know, procrastination is knowing you should be doing something, but you keep putting it off again and again. And then a lot of us come up with the excuse and say, well, I work well under pressure, you know. Forgive me, I work very well under pressure. No, you're just dealing with some self-sabotage in terms of procrastination, you know. That's one of the challenges that we have. And then we have this one of unfulfilled dreams. You know, dreaming of doing something, but never actually doing anything about your dream. A lot of us have been writing that book for the last 10 years. We've even called ourselves authors, you know.
Don't get personal, don't get personal, don't get personal, Dr. T.
Oh, absolutely. We have a lot of unfulfilled dreams, you know. That exercise program that we are on, you know, or that we are supposed to be on, you know, a lot of us have paid for the gym, but never actually went there. Do you know how much money gyms have made from people who've never shown up, you know, except on the day that they went to sign up, you know? So unfulfilled dreams, Rams, is a very big one. And then, of course, we've got worry, that thing that eats you. It's actually called fretting over things that really shouldn't matter, you know, fearing that if you fail, you know, the world will think very less of you. And so we eat up ourselves from the inside. That is also a form of self-sabotage, where we doubt ourselves, we doubt our abilities, you know. And then, of course, anger is one of them. It's a way in which we self-sabotage. You see, anger actually is an emotion that is meant to help us experience life, right? But if we don't know how to manage our anger, it can become very destructive. You know, neuroscientists help people understand how to bring out the positive side of your anger, like what you said, that when Tiger Woods is angry, then he plays his best game type thing. Yeah. You know, it's a very deliberate tactic where someone knows, you know what, whenever I'm in a place of disadvantage and I'm feeling this emotion, I use it to then fuel myself forward. And then, of course, the 5th trait of self-sabotage is feelings of worthlessness. This is very big because it always presents where one exaggerates other people's achievements and diminish their own. You know, we call it fake humility, you know, where others are always doing well, but you're actually afraid of stepping up, you know, and and actually honoring yourself in terms of what you do. And even the very context of letting other people put you down, of taking unfair or misguided criticism to heart, where you don't sleep, you are busy turning in your bed because someone said something that that was critical, and you are not able to let go. So these are the common themes of self-sabotage, Rams, where we really don't do justice to ourselves. We are very unkind to ourselves in these areas.
Before we move to then positive self-talk, folks, any questions, any follow-ups to the conversation of last week? Any worry? Are we all covered? Okay, then we move on. We move on then, Dr. to what, obviously to the ear and the eye, is the opposite of negative self-talk, which is positive self-talk. But I'm sure your definition is much more than just the opposite.
Yeah, of course. A positive self-talk is actually the opposite. It is the opposite of negative self-talk. It's not about narcissism or deceiving ourselves into thinking things that are inaccurate. No, it is about showing ourselves some love, showing ourselves some compassion, and understanding for who we are and how we are encountering life. So positive self-talk is a very deliberate way, or rather, it's a very deliberate action where we speak and we think very positively concerning ourselves. For example, Rams, a positive self-talk sees our internal narrative, as switching to ideas like, I can do better next time, instead of saying I'm an idiot, or I choose to learn from my mistakes. I will not be held back from them, than saying I'm a failure. You see, so situations still happen. You make mistakes here and there, but you then make a conscious choice to speak to yourself positively about where you are failing.
But Dr. T, and I'm sure everybody can attest to this, I think we tend to be compassionate to ourselves when we do wrong. Like when you continue to gain weight and not do something about it, when you continue not to write that book and you say, but I'm not that bad, I know one day I'll get to write. Or when I have somebody I know very well who over the years accumulated more pounds than he should have accumulated. I'm not talking the British money terms, I'm talking the other pounds.
Right.
And every time he's questioning himself, he says, I'm not that bad. Now, is that the compassion that you're talking about in positive self-talk?
No, that actually is denial. That is denial. Positive self-talk does not it's not self-deceit, where you ignore points or where you ignore facts or where you ignore truth. Positive self-talk simply puts you in an empowered position to deal with whatever you need to deal with. You don't discount yourself. You don't hate your self-concept. Remember, a lot of people in society struggle with self-confidence. Self-confidence is simply, that assurance that I have the capacity, I have the faculty to do what.
For a second, we lost you for a second, Dr. T.
Yes, sir.
Just repeat a little bit of what you were saying. We lost you for a few seconds.
Oh, okay. All right. I was saying the issue of the self-concept is very key when it comes to confidence, because confidence is the assurance, right, in the self that I have the capacity and I have the faculty to do what needs to be done. So a lack of self-confidence becomes a very big challenge, because then the individual starts to doubt their ability to do what's necessary, And so this is not about deceiving yourself and saying I am this when I'm not that. No, it's about acknowledging the fact that I need to do this. So therefore, if someone is overweight, and they know that they need to exercise, they need to get on a program. It's not just about saying, you know what, I'm just fat and I'm useless. No, it's about saying, I believe I can do it. How about I give it a try? How about I get the positive energy to get going in the direction of my dreams? See, now that's positive self-talk. That is where energy comes from. Remember, our system, our neural network releases the energy on the basis of our belief system. That's why if you believe you can, you will. If you believe you can't, you won't. It all comes back to the belief system of the individual.
Okay. Then let's go to the theme. So that you said the one first thing that we need to do to take control of self-talk, of our personal self-talk.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So it's very important, especially for all of our guests here, that begin to actually understand that your self-talk is really more mechanical than something that is totally far removed from you. Remember, like I said, we are thinking up to 6-7 times faster than we speak. And it's very monumental, in terms of just the number of thoughts that we are handling per day, right? And there's a strong relationship between what you think and how you feel, both physically and emotionally. Because remember, the matrix, the matrix of human behavior is that our belief system, right, informs our values. Our values then inform our thoughts. Our thoughts, inform our words. They become our words. Our words become our action. Our actions, if uninterrupted and repeated, then they become our habits. Then our habits, uninterrupted, then become our character. So character is ingrained habits that have been repeated so much that they are part of your neural network. Now your neural network it's a highway. There is a path that's so traveled that you don't even need to think about it. It's almost like a preset. That's why people say, no, I'm wired this way, I'm wired that way. No, you have done it so much, even in how you think and how you do things, that now it is a part of your system. And so we need to understand that the way that we speak to ourselves, right? If we carry that, and repeatedly talk ourselves down, beat ourselves down, and totally disenfranchise ourselves, that then becomes what we consistently talk about. You know what? I don't think I can do that. No, let others try. I don't think I can manage. No, I'm. You know what? I shouldn't even try. So you see, the more we say that to ourselves, the more we do that to ourselves, guess what? We then end up actually acting that way. We start stepping back where we need to step up. But where does it all come from? It comes from our self-talk. We need to be conscious of negative self-talk when it starts to happen. For me, I've got this regimen where I wake up and I exercise, right? And so I time myself to say, I need to get the exercise out of the way so that I can focus on other things during the day. So one of the key things I have to do, even when it's cold, is to tell myself, I can do it, and I shouldn't bring my emotion into it. I need to become very mechanical, wake up, exercise, get it out of the way. You'll feel great afterwards. That's what I say to myself. And believe me, whenever I'm done and I'm sweating and this and that, I say to myself, I'm so glad I did. I actually feel good about it. So I take every negative self-talk when it comes to that area of my health, and I make sure that I wake up and I exercise. And I'm sure some of you know me, I was like 12 kilos bigger than this, some 12 months ago, but that has really helped me because I started tracking my self-talk in that area. And so it's something that can be done. It's something that's possible, Rams.
And then I thought you lost weight because of COVID. I mean, I thought, you lost business and you're not making money. So, COVID has been bad to all of us. Folks,
no, I've been very intentional, man.
I don't know, guys, how you encourage yourself to do what Dr. T does. I'm going to share my story, especially when it comes to exercise. And I learned this from another personal development coach. Dr. T has mentioned him before. Anthony Robbins, and he said you must use pain and pleasure differently. So the year I decided to take care of myself, and it's been many years now, I'm not consistent, but I try to do it as often as I could. He said, people say to us, no pain, no gain. He says, that's wrong, because you will never do it. Nobody wants pain. But if you turn pain around and say, if I don't do it, will I get pain? And that's how I started focusing on going to gym. Not going to gym causes me pain, not the other way around. So once I associate gym with pain, I don't go to gym. But if I associate the results of gym with no pain, then for me that's amazing. Then I don't see the pain of going to gym. I see the pain of not going to gym. I don't know what your experiences have been in trying to stay focused on something, guys.
That's really very critical, Rams, because yeah. Then maybe we can go to Matlomula. Just a quick one there, a quick add-on to what you said. That human beings are created and are postured to avoid pain and embrace pleasure. So actually using that as a litmus for actions is very effective, because we naturally want to avoid pain and we naturally gravitate towards pleasure. I mean, that's why we've written songs like you know, it's just it's just a betrayal of just the human posture that we rather prefer pleasure to pain, you know.
Mr. Brake.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Sorry I joined late. I was double booked. But anyway, I've got a story to tell. I can actually relate to what Rams is saying, that you use pain differently. In my situation, just like you, Dr. T, I was actually bigger than what I am now. A couple of months, a year or two ago, and the fear of going back there keeps me working hard every day. As Ram says, since COVID, I haven't been consistent, but I do it. I make sure that every week I do something. Either I run or I go to the gym. But it's the fear of going back to where I was, because I was probably 10 Ks more than what I am now. Probably. But now here's my question. You said some people normally say, I'm wired this way. And you explained that with you, also the fear of going back to where you were previously keeps you, or rather makes you wake up in the morning and go to gym. But if people say, I'm a morning person and I'm wired this way, or I'm forever late and I can't do anything, how do people get out of that system? Because I hear, you see, the gym one for me, okay, maybe in my case, it's a bit easier to get out of. But what about these other ones that are perhaps a bit more emotional, to say, I'm wired this way? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you very much for raising that. I think when we actually come back to understanding how behavior is formed, and just getting to understand how people sort of develop certain frameworks where someone says, I'm wired this way. In fact, you know, I always say that when people say that, a lot of times they'll be saying it to defend probably a particular viewpoint or a particular thing that they don't want to change about themselves. You know, but the context of neuroplasticity actually says that we need to understand that you can't say I'm wired that way, therefore I can't change. But how does the wiring that way come? You know, when people believe that's just who they are. Well, you are probably a morning person because you learned certain routines where you probably maybe either slept early, you know, early, and then by 4 a.m. you woke up, you know. But that is learned behavior. In fact, every habit is learned behavior. And that's why I explained it, that your thoughts become your words, right? Your words become your actions. Now, if your actions are repeated and uninterrupted over a period of time, it's like those roads, you know, when you are walking in the field and there are certain parts.
Is it Dr. T again?
And nothing.
Yeah, it's Dr. T.
Sorry. Did
We lost you again.
Your network is failing you today, Dr. T.
Oh my God! And I just paid a lot of money to to have it very.
Your network is wired differently.
I've got a refund to me.
I think your network is not a night thing.
No, it's a morning thing. So my point here, in terms of just explaining human behavior, right, is that if our actions happen in a certain way uninterrupted, it then opens up this path where nothing is.
We can't afford this, Dr. T. Not you.
I mean,
what are we going to do when you disappear?
Did I disappear again?
Again, Dr. T.
Sorry.
But you beg. Let's hope it will hold this time.
Okay, sure. So your body, right? Your system releases reward chemicals like dopamine, like serotonin, and all these feel good. The more you do what you do, the way you do it, your body adjusts to that. It becomes comfortable. Now, then people say, I am wired this way. Well, subconsciously, it's because there's a certain routine that you followed. Especially when you've got babies. Remember, babies come from the womb where in the day, as the mother is walking around, it rocks them, they sleep. At night, then they are awake because there's silence. The person carrying them is asleep. So they wake, they are born into that routine. So that you now have got to totally turn it around for them to sleep at night and to be awake during the day. But after you do that, then they become normal like everybody else. Well, they are awake during the day, they sleep at night. It's all about learned behavior. Your system will always lock into learned behavior. And that's why people say, I'm wired this way, I'm wired that way. When you understand just the neuroplasticity, that you can interrupt an ingrained pattern and start a new path where you start walking on the grass until it becomes a road, then you realize that actually human behavior can be calibrated very well.
So this positive self-talk, Dr. T, you say we need to turn some of the phrases we use around, and you used one of them last week when you say we need to turn I always or I never into just this time or sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Because remember, Rams, your thoughts, right? Your thoughts are your primary vehicles for regulating your emotional flow. But your thoughts actually...
That's big English. Say that again, Dr. T.
Your thoughts are the primary vehicle through which we regulate our emotional flow. So our thoughts determine how we feel. So if I think, you know what, right now I'm really angry, guess what? You will actually feel angry. If you think I'm happy, guess what? You actually feel happy. So the thoughts actually regulate the emotional flow. But your thoughts then actually become the words. So the point here is that self-talk is actually your thoughts verbalized. You actually hear your thinking in a way that is very instructive to you. And that is why it's very important that we are able to turn negative self-talk into positive self-talk. To say, actually, I am motivated to change, rather than saying, I will never change. Because you see, a lot of people want to feel the energy for change, but the energy for change must be generated, like all energy. You generate it. If you want to wake up and exercise, generate the energy. Don't wait. You will never feel like, now I feel like I have to exercise. No, unless maybe the doctor says, if you don't do this, there's a consequence. But otherwise, anything you want to do, you want to save money, you have to generate that energy. You want whatever it is, yeah. Except falling in love at first sight. It just happens, yeah.
I think a lot of us must take responsibility for that. When we look back, we may have to rethink why we fell in love at first sight. But I'm not going there. This is a different talk altogether. Speaking of which, Dr. T,
yeah.
One of the most difficult things for all of us, and I know I speak for everyone here, and everybody who listening to us is accepting responsibility for our actions. It's always somebody else's fault. One of the jokes I make when I play golf, I say a good golfer must always find something to blame. The caddy, the wind, the flag, the birds, something, but never the golfer.
Oh yes, absolutely. Sorry, there's a hand, and Dilega has a hand up. Maybe after I respond to this, we can go there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Please respond, and then we go to Dilega. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So it's important, Rams, for us to be able to take responsibility, you know. And when it comes to positive self-talk, and this is what I was saying in the beginning, that this is not about self-denial, no, and this is not about trying to project something that you are not. It's about being honest with yourself, right? And then you build from that point. You become honest with yourself, then you build. You know, the blame game and the negative self-talk always go hand in hand, you know. But if you are someone who always thinks it's always my fault, or always thinks it's always their fault, if you always think in the concepts of fault, you know what? That's when you are slowly, you know, moving towards negative self-talk. But it's important, yes, take responsibility. I made a mistake. How do I fix this? How do I move forward? I am able to move forward. You know, so we've got to build that capacity within us that acknowledges that, look, I take responsibility for this, but how do I build it forward? I think it's very, very critical.
Before Ndilega, I just want to say that I realize there are people who are just wired in not showing their faces on the platform, but that's fine. Ndilega.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that I do positive daily affirmations, right? So every day I will wake up and I will tell myself, you know, you are amazing, you're good at this, blah, 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 all of that stuff. And I do it so much that I believe in it. So when somebody else actually says to you, oh, you're so great, or you're so wonderful, it's almost like that's not a revelation. It's a confirmation of something that I already know. But that sometimes can be perceived as arrogance. So again, I ask, where do we draw the line? Because, you know, some people actually just look at you and they're like, that woman is so full of herself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the challenge there is not your self-concept or self-perception. The challenge is the response that you then give in acknowledgement of what they are saying that you already know, you know. So you should never feel any less about your confidence, but handle others with enough grace so that for their effort, you appreciate them, you know. And a lot of times people who look good will actually be looking good and feeling good. Oh, wow. Oh, you've lost some weight. You look good. Yeah, I know. You need to do something about your weight. You know, if I do that, or if I say that, then I am now infringing on their self-concept, you know. So perhaps what you can do, just calibrate the way that then you would respond to those around you that are affirming. Remember, affirmation is actually confirmation. And that is why, even in our language, when I greet you, I am affirming that you are there. Sawubona. It means I see you. And when you say yebo, you are like, yes, I'm here. You are not seeing a ghost. You see? So our very mode of greeting is an affirmation of our sanity, is an affirmation that I'm actually here. You should try it. If you try to greet everybody and people don't even look at you and act like you are not there, you start figuring, am I actually here? Am I dead? Or you know? So give grace to those around you because they are affirming what you're already feeling. You know, I think that is one great way of responding to that. You know, but you should never feel any less, you know, because you already know what other people are seeing or affirming in you.
I have a suspicion, Dr. T, that you don't work much with footballers, because when they get that affirmation, like scoring a goal, they don't take it with humility. They go things like, I know about this thing. But anyway, let's not digress. There are people who love footballers on this platform. Is this a just a feel good thing, Dr. T, just to talk positively to ourselves? Are there benefits for me to always remind myself to positively talk to myself? What are the benefits of all this? Or is it just a nice to do kind of thing?
Yeah, Rams, thank you very much for raising that. Actually, tonight, we've got a number of certified coaches, certified neuroscientists. I can see some of them. So, so I need to say it as it is. Good to see you, Sme, Dr. Lungi, a couple of other guys that we work with. Good to see you guys. And so, yeah, look, research has actually shown that people who are more inclined towards thinking optimistically, who affirm themselves, right, are also more inclined towards positive self-talk. And they are more resourceful whenever they are faced with stressful situations. So actually, when you affirm yourself, when you engage in positive self-talk, it actually reduces stress in your body. Remember what I said, that your body has got these reward chemicals that it releases. Those are the things that make you feel good. When you feel good about something and you feel confident about something, that's actually a chemical reaction within you. It's a chemical reaction within you. And so people that engage in positive self-talk always put themselves in that place where their system, starts to respond very positively towards stress. I mean, this research was done by Iwanaga and Yokohama and Seiwa, and they found that, in fact, positive self-talk helps you to reframe the way you look at stressful situations, your understanding that you will approach the challenges with the best of your ability, and that whatever the outcome, you did the best that you could, So this is the difference between that I can do this mindset rather than this is too hard type mindset. So yes, it helps to reduce stress, Rams.
Wow.
I see there's a question there, or maybe I need to go to the next point.
Well, let's take the question.
Okay, all right.
Or the comment.
Okay.
Hi, can I go?
Yes, Debs.
I would like to hear more about our unconscious thoughts. If Dr. T can give us more information or elaborate more on unconscious thoughts. I think I'm more interested on the fact that you said our actions are guided by our beliefs and our value system. How conscious are we of what we believe and what our value systems are?
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much for that question. In fact, when you look at the human behavior matrix, right? We've got the conscious mind and we've got the subconscious mind. And in fact, it's very interesting. I always do this exercise when I do these interventions, where there's a certain exercise called the I went to the shops kind of exercise. And then, if there's 20 people in the room, they each need to remember what the other person went to buy. And, if we had time, I could have done it here just to illustrate something. Perhaps we'll get to do it one of these other days, right? But the interesting thing is that our conscious thoughts, our conscious mind rather has a memory span of between 15 to 20 seconds. Then anything after that, it is taken from our subconscious thoughts, from our subconscious system rather. Our subconscious system, that is where, for example, things like our priorities lie, our character, our habits, our memory, all that is a function of your subconscious mind. And so your subconscious thoughts, actually, that refers really more to the engine room of who you are. Because there are certain things that you respond to. I remember it's called, you've reached a level of unconscious competence. Remember, you start off with what is called unconscious incompetence, where you don't know that you don't know. Then you move to what is called conscious incompetence. Now you know that you don't know. I know that I can't fly a plane. Then it gives me the impetus to go and learn how to pilot. Then I reach a level of conscious competence. But then the fourth level is what is called unconscious competence, where your neural network can respond faster than your mind can engage. Why is that? It's because you've got certain subconscious frameworks that are now set where you don't even need to actively engage a conscious thinking, but you can still arrive at the outcome of your subconscious mind. There are certain things you will never do. You don't even need to think about them. Let's say maybe you value integrity. You know, there are people that value integrity so much that they don't even have to think about saying no when you try to bribe them. Or maybe they get to a roadblock and the cop says, give me $100. The guy doesn't even have to think, do I even have money to give him? Why should I? No, for them, it's a no. That is an example of a subconscious thinking or a subconscious framework that is already set there. So actually, your subconscious frameworks are even more powerful than your act of conscious thinking. And that is why your conscious thinking must always be premised on a very solid subconscious framework, which is then informed by a good value system, which then comes from a very solid belief system.
There's a question on the chat, Dr. T, from Teuhan. I hope you answered, but Nompumelelo asks, being emotionally dependent, how does one deal with criticism from those who are close and dear, people like parents, better half, best friend, etc., to them, even those that exude self-confidence? So yeah, how do you deal with criticism from these people?
All right. In fact, I probably need to unpack it a little bit, because that's a very touchy area and we need a lot of knowledge in it. Right. And the reason why criticism from people that are very close to you is very dangerous, in the sense that we normally take it to heart more than anything else. You know, when a stranger criticizes you, you're like, you don't know me. You know, people say, you know what, I'm not going to hold it against you. You don't know me. You know, why? Because the people that are within our circle are so powerful because we have accepted them. Remember, we've got this thing called a conscious value system, right? And so it protects us, that anytime I meet people that I don't know or people that I don't necessarily relate with, my guard is always up. I am protected. I choose what to say. I choose how I project myself, you know, and I'm very careful because my guard is up. My conscience is alive. But when you are around friends, and let me say friends, family, these people that you consistently are in their space and they are in your space, your system tends to relax. It's like these guard walls come down. And that's why your family knows your nicknames. They know everything to know about you. And because of that, they have access into your emotional space where you would normally be guarded against everybody else, against the rest of the world. So your guard is down, your conscience is quiet because you have accepted them into your inner space. So those are the people that influence you the most. That is why today, if you were to go to jail and say, how did you get here? They'll say, my friends, I was following my friends. My friends did this. When did you start doing this risky behavior? My friends. Why? Simply because those people have got access to your subconscious network. They can make suggestions right there that you are not thinking, okay, is this a terrible one? Is it a bad one? It's easy to actually fall prey. Why? Because those people are already within the context of where you are not guarded. That's why you choose your friends carefully, because they are like elevator buttons. They can take you up or they can bring you down. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. If you come from a toxic family environment, that can impact you very, very much, because those people have got direct access to your subconscious network. They can literally plant things like this. Some of us are struggling because our parents told us we were not good enough. Some of us today can't do certain things because we were constantly told this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that set in our subconscious mind and became a part of our belief system. And so, yes, I can understand. I don't know if I've answered that question effectively, but I just wanted us to understand that the people who are very close to you can actually alter how you see yourself. They can alter your confidence, your belief system. And so we need to be very, very careful about how we speak to one another, especially in those close circles, because it's very easy to then become emotional. But we are emotional about what they say because they know exactly where to tweak us, you know. And so that's how human behavior works out in relation.
Do we then cut them off? If these family members are constantly making me feel less of myself, or they teasing me, or they're not building my confidence, what do I do, Dr. T?
Yeah, well, ultimately, we've got to reach a point of decision. If it's a place where, or it's a situation where no one wants to change, you know, and no one wants to see you for who you are becoming, you have to make the hard choices in terms of who you then allow into that space of yours. Because guess what? I can make a decision and say, you know what, Rams is this way, that way, that way. Therefore, you know what, I'm just going to shield myself. I'm going to protect myself around them. Then once you make that conscious decision, then it becomes a little bit easier to protect yourself. If you can have, a geographical distance, you know, someone said, you know what, the further my enemies are, the more I love them, you know. Why? Because then that distance gives you enough room to protect yourself. Sometimes you have to physically remove yourself from a place and a situation where you are constantly being abused emotionally.
Okay. Now, I'm going to try and say this positively, although I think I'm a victim of positive self-talk. When I say victim, Dr. T, there are things that I would have bettered in doing, and I keep on saying, no, but I can do this better. And I become resilient. But that means I keep on going back to a place of crime, you know, where I get punishment because I believe I can do this.
Yeah. I think it's probably a case of knowing what you can do, or what you believe you can do, and what you actually can do. Remember, that gap can be sorted out. If I believe I can do this, but I don't have the capacity, then I have an opportunity to use that belief system to generate the skill or to learn the skill that will then take me to the next level. Mm-hmm. So you see, colleagues, it's not really about confessing that which you are not and that which you never could be. It's about loving yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to learn what you need to learn so that you can walk through into the next dimension of your dreams and your goals. You know, that's why all of us here tonight need to be able to say, okay, the things that I know I can do, then those I can do. But the ones that I know I can't do, I need to be able to be kind enough to myself to learn and say, you know what, how can I take myself to the next level?
And I suppose in this case, Dr. T, I was referring to, I did put it negatively just because I can. But what I really meant is that I have found that my positive self-talk boosts a lot of my self-confidence when I approach situations to execute things that I want to execute, because I know I can do it. So when I believe I can do it, I go there with more confidence, right, and I'm more resilient even when the results don't come immediately.
Absolutely. That's very true. Very true, my brother.
Relationships, does self-talk, does positive self-talk better our relationships, Dr. T?
So, Rams, there's a question. I don't know if Nomfundo wants to ask.
It would have been an incomplete day, Nomfundo did not ask a question. Hello, Nomfundo, and please ask your question.
Yo, thank you so much, my spokesperson. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, Dr. Sibanda, you're saying that as people, we need to learn how to, create a shield, right? So that we don't, we we don't really focus on people that bring energy, and there needs to be that gap. But how do you do that when the very same people that bring all these negative thoughts, so on and so forth, are family? How do you block yourself, or how do you shield from family, people that you're meant to help, so on and so forth? How do you create that gap?
Yeah, it's always a difficult one. It's always a difficult one with family, especially when you cannot physically get away, right? But you can actually raise up your internal security. Raising up your internal security means, for example, if people are always saying you are terrible, you are this, you are that, you are that, you've got to start believing what you know is true, so that you don't get into the belief system that they are installing in you. For example, I'll give you an example. Remember, a belief system is an internalized certainty concerning something. You know, I believe, for example, I believe there is God because there are at least 3 instances that have happened, maybe in my life or in your life, that have given you a certain certainty that there is God. Maybe you believe that money is good because you have seen at least 3 instances where money has made a difference. That's how belief systems are formed. You know, anything with 3 legs will stand. So the neuroscience of human behavior always looks for at least 3 reference points before it starts believing something to be true. So if you were given a car keys to a car that you've never driven or seen before, you know, but that car has a type of handle that you've never seen, are you going to try to open it? Of course you will. Why? Because your belief system says, when I turn handles, doors open. Why? Because you have at least 3 points of references where it has worked. So now that is now a subconscious belief within you, you know. And so, for example, if then your family says to you, you know what, you are this or you are that, or you are a failure, you will never make it. How you then protect yourself is that you must look within yourself and find areas where you have made it, or find instances where you have made it. Then that becomes the internal rebuttal that says they just don't know any better. I'm actually good at this. I've got my own references. So I'm speaking from a very belief system oriented response where you are able to say, you know what, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, this is who I am. This is what I can do. And I know this is very rife in families, because in families, you know, some people end up pursuing careers they never wanted because they were told, if you don't do this, it's like this, it's like that, it's like that. So you need to build a very strong internal strength. And if I were to do a values exercise here, the challenge is that for a lot of us, family is a value. It's a great value, but the downside of family as a value is the fact that you remember, you live out your values. We are so open that we can easily get manipulated. That's the downside of having that as a value. And so it's a very thin line, and I probably need to do an even much deeper thing. We'll probably get to a point, Rams, where we have a whole session on values. Then I can help people understand their value system and what the advantages and disadvantages are. But you've got to find a way of actually protecting yourself, you know, and creating those reference points that are different from what is being said to you if it is being negative. If it's a point of correction where maybe you need to grow in that area, allow yourself to grow in that area, but don't use that as a reference point for your identity going forward.
Okay, we did I see another hand before?
Yeah, Ndilega.
Ndilega, come in, please.
Just a question, Doctor. How do you deal with a situation where a family member believes they can do something? Maybe let me make an example. As a mother, you have a son that believes he is going to be a soccer star, like the best soccer dude ever. But this guy has been, you know, he's played soccer at school. You've seen him. He's in clubs. You know he's never going to be that. How do you address this issue without crushing the child's dreams? Without, like, how do you positively say, no, my child, this is not gonna work. you are better at this without, because he believes in this. It's all he thinks about. How do you deal with a situation like that?
Yeah.
Stop buying him boots.
Yeah, that's a very tough one. You know, as parents, we always hope that you know what, they will grow out of it. You know, they will grow out of it. You know, I remember growing up, we all wanted to be Diego Maradonas and this and that. But sooner or later, you kind of realize, okay, probably life is not all about soccer. I think, remember, number one, as parents, we don't own the kids. We are custodians. That's the first thing that we need to understand. We are custodians, and so as custodians, and rightfully so, and rightfully you say that it's important, because as a mother you can see that, you know what, this child is not at the level where it is required, for them to go in a very professional way. I'd only say, look, at that point, become patient in trying to help them explore other competencies. Yes, they will, in a lot of ways, just from the competitive nature of what they want to do, they will probably get over it when they realize that it's just not happening. But if you can be patient, try and find alternative ways of maybe pushing them towards some of those things that you can see that they do well. And this is a very big one, by the way. At least you are giving an example where you can see a child cannot be that. How about those children who, like I had a brother who scored, 9 A's, 9 distinctions, good in all his subjects, brilliant guy. So you couldn't even say this guy will be good in arts or in sciences, because he was just equally brilliant in everything, So now that is an even bigger challenge for a parent, because it's easier to direct a kid that, okay, this one just won't be able to do that. So therefore, let me try and push them towards what they can do. How do you help a child choose who is brilliant in everything that they are doing? You see? So now this is where then you probably need to then understand who the child is first, before you guide them on the basis of what they can do. If they are multi-talented, the answer always lies in, let's go into your value system. Let's go into who are you. Once you understand the key identity of the person, then it becomes easier to direct them. You won't make too many mistakes there. A lot of kids are doing medicine who are supposed to be musicians.
We need to conclude, but and I'm no coach, but at least I'm a parent, so I can hazard a guess on, at least my own view. Sometimes children express their love for a word through a specific point of that word. So sometimes if he wants so badly to become a great footballer, it's sometimes just an expression of how much he loves the sport. He could still be a great coach. He could still be a great sports commentator. It does not necessarily mean he must play. So you don't even have to discourage them, but you could show them other places in the same world of football, that they could do other things in that space of football. So I don't necessarily believe it should be saying, hey, Morena, you're not good at this, forget about it. But it could be open the avenue, show them much more what they could do in that space beyond just kicking the football, because not all of us are going to kick it. But, we got great coaches in this world who were some of the worst players that we know. And we've got some of the greatest players who have become worst coaches. But we're not going to go there because I could mention people we all know here. We are out of time, Dr. T. But I really want us to respond to this one quickly so that next week we start on a clean slate. Sure. How does positive self-talk help in building better relationships?
All right. Now, remember, relationships are built around positivity. That's the context of it, and you are probably aware of what it feels like to be around someone who's positive, self-assured, and content in who they are as a person. Someone who exudes confidence, and it always reflects positively on those that are around them. I remember there was a study done by Assad, Donlon, and Koga in 2012, and they found that couples who were more optimistic, cited higher levels of cooperation and positive outcomes, you know. And so people who utilize positive self-talk within themselves are extremely very capable of picking up on the positive traits of those around them. You know, we say, remember, we're always exuding energy, right? So positivity is energy. And so if I engage in positive self-talk, chances are I will be more confident. And if I'm more confident, and if I am more at peace with myself, not necessarily that I need to be succeeding on the outside, no, but as long as I'm more positive, I am more hopeful, and I am more, I am more whole within me, chances are it will enable me to build relationships that are whole, to connect better with people, you know, and to be more available for people. You know, there are some people, Rams, that, you know what, even if I want to talk to someone, I can't talk to this person, you know, because just one look at their demeanor, you realize, you know what, this is probably one of those. And guess what? There are some people that when you talk to them, you leave drained. You leave there so heavier than when you actually went into the conversation. Why? Because they are so negative. They are so negative. They will talk down about the company, about women, about men, about the economy. You come out of there, you are carrying a whole lot, and you are like, my God, that was just some episode I just had. So positive self-talk gives you that starting block, that, you know, that stepping stone for you to be able to then build relationships that are positive. And it's easy to strike up a relationship or a friendship or a conversation with somebody who is very positive and somebody who is very open to relating.
Dr. Thando Sibanda, we're going to have to stop it right here. Thank you so much for tonight. As usual, brilliant.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated.
And I'm sure I speak for everybody else. Folks, I'm hoping that you're feeling great about these sessions that we had. And in the words of one great musician, Lee Oscar, now that I feel so good, tell everybody. So please tell everyone. Tell people, send them to the platform. It's on Facebook and YouTube, Talk with Rams. Let them also watch these conversations. We will try to get as many people into the live conversation, but if they can't be here, at least let them watch it on the platform. So tell everybody. And on that note, until next Thursday, same time, we shall meet. Okay. Good night and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Comes to